Hi, good evening. This is Nadine. I'm up late tonight and the kids are in bed and the grandson. So I had some quiet time and I had this on my heart to do. Really, my sister Tammy asked me once to do a video or a devotional when I was writing a devotional on prayer. And it's something she mentioned to me a couple of times that she and other people struggle with knowing how to pray. So I guess I wanted to start with um, the Lord's Prayer. Most of us know that it's an outline that Jesus put out on how to pray. One of the main things that it starts with, my Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. That is, hallowed means holy. And it's really important to start your prayer with a praise. It's a good way to open. And I find being thankful and thanking God for the things that you already have is important. For effective prayer, I believe that it's to be in a constant state of thankfulness, like in the mornings when you wake up, just thanking God for the day, just something very simple. That's basics. And throughout your day, just moving through your day, practicing gratitude and thankfulness and acknowledging God. Just a beautiful day, the sun shining, the birds are singing, the flowers in your garden, the beautiful trees in your neighborhood, just simple things that promotes gratitude in your heart. Because a lot of prayer is about heart condition. And when you approach God and approaching God with a thankful heart, I think he sees our heart before we even speak what, and he really honestly knows what we need already, and he knows what we're going to request. And I think another issue with prayer is where we miss. I was going to tell a funny story. When I first was learning how to pray when I was younger, I decided to test God. And I think probably 8 or 9 years old, and I was a big fan of Elvis Presley. So I decided that I was going to say this matter-of-fact prayer that, oh yes, let's let Elvis break down in front of my house. Just kind of, it was the mindset of testing God to see if it was real. And of course, Elvis Presley never broke down in front of my house. So that's just a funny example of a child in a child's mind of what not to do in prayer. Um, so, and then sometimes we will bug God so much, wanting something that he knows is not good for us, and that he'll give it to us, and then we'll find out later we don't want it. So it's always, and if you notice in the Lord's Prayer, thy will be done as on earth as it in heaven. We really want God's will, God's perfect will in our life. So it's always good to lend yourself to submit to God's will in whatever you're asking for. And have a mindful of that and a trust that he knows best, and a heart that's trusting him. One of the biggest examples to me in the Bible of prayer life to me is King David. King David was kind of, I don't want to get too Bible-y on you because I might lose y'all. But King David was called a man after God's own heart. And he wasn't a perfect man, he was a flawed man. But God loved him. And he's the only person in the Bible that he said that about, a man after God's own heart. And if you read any of the Psalms, you will see that he was a man that praised and worshiped God. And it was a way of life for him. And I think that's why he had God's heart. So if you want your prayers answered, and this is my approach, I want God to hear me. I want my prayers answered. Of course, we all do. I'm gonna practice my praise and worship a lot more than I'm gonna ask for stuff. To continually to go before the Lord in prayer and worship. It's just a part of my everyday life. It might not be hours. I don't play an instrument. Well, I do have a flute, but it's been so long. I'm just not very skilled with a flute. I'm not an expert, but I do use my flute occasionally to worship. But I spend a lot of time doing that, and my petition, sometimes I don't even at this point know what to ask for, because I do trust the Lord. And sometimes the ones that unanswered, I always lend it to him to fix the problem and how he sees fit most of the time. And most of my petitions are things that I see in the Bible, like wisdom. I ask for wisdom in a certain situation. I ask for, healing, restoration, all that is in there. There's examples of David crying out, so I follow that a lot. And my advice to anyone that wants to increase their prayer life is to find yourself a favorite psalm that really speaks to you, and it speaks to your heart and your spirit, and have key verses in it that you can go back to connect with God on in prayer. One of my favorites is Psalms 91, because we always want to pray protection over our families. And this is it. He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall remain stable and fixed under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, he is my refuge, my fortress, my God. On him I confidently trust. So what I would do is, out of that verse, I would say, Lord, you are my refuge, my fortress, and my high tower. You're the one that I trust. Because this is something David used. Well, that can work for me too, and for my family. And so that's just one tool that I use. And I have several verses in the Bible that speak to me that I go back to all the time. And I find that in every situation, every season of life that I've been through, there will be verses that'll come up that I need to stand on to get me through the things that I go through. And they're kind of, after a lot of time, I'm 61 now, they're kind of in my heart. They've come a part of my life. So every time I need them, they're recalled and come out when I need them. And there's sometimes that I could be sleeping or upset and driving, and those verses that I've used in the past will come up again. This is what I need. And of course, I pray that. I find that when I read the Bible, that I look at the saints of old and look what God did for them, and I watch the relationship that God had with each of them, with David, with Abraham. And what I know about God's character is he's faithful. He never lies. And if you're a child of God and you're a believer, he is faithful to you. He's got you in the palm of his hand. So that is something that you can be confident and trust in. And another thing I can say, if you're a beginner and you don't know the Bible very well, I highly suggest finding a promise book. It's a good place to start. It's a small book, and it has by topic Bible verses that are promises from God. And you can go by faith, joy, healing, depression, anxiety. Hi, sorry about that. Just when you think you have some alone time and a quiet time, somebody gets up in the middle of the night. So, where was I? Oh, the Promise Book. I highly suggest it. It's a useful tool for beginners, and don't stress about it. This takes time. I've been reading and studying the Bible probably seriously for 30 years. I dabbled in it when I was younger, but I didn't really get serious. Here goes. The dogs are acting up, sorry. Didn't get serious about it until I was in my 30s. But a walk with God is about growth, personal growth. Growth, about personal growth. By the way, guys, I don't edit a lot of the stuff out. I try to do a one take, and sometimes I redo a couple of the videos. I try to keep this as simple for me because my tech skills are very low. Back to about walking with God. Growing in faith and growing relationship with God and growing your prayer life, it takes time. And God meets you where you're at. And really, I would start with just being thankful and praising. And if you're going through a tough time right now, and if things are really bad, how you fight and draw a line in the sand in prayer is you find things to worship God about, and you break out the praise and worship if you've got a big fight on your hand. And then find a psalm on what you're going through that identifies with the subject matter that you're dealing with, and then try to glean something from that. Start there. But anytime I've got a fight on my hands, I don't go telling my sisters, I don't go telling my cousins. I have one person that is my prayer partner that I share trouble with, because I'm in a fight, and I have to fight the good fight of faith. So and when you fight the good fight of faith, you need to have your mouth going in the direction you're praying. Don't pray for a blessing. This is probably the second biggest tip. Don't go praying for something to be fixed or repaired or healed, and then turn around and start speaking what you see. Start speaking negatively, because what you're doing for effective prayer, your mouth has to line up with what you're asking for. Get your mouth in check, because you pray out of your mouth, but if you're confessing, I'm not the confessing, but you have to be in agreement with what you're asking God for. So watch your mouth. Don't keep your troubles to yourself. Find people that are people of faith to pray with. Where two or more are gathered together, the Lord is in the midst with you. In the with you also. So that is a powerful prayer too. If a husband and wife can agree as one and pray together, that is a powerful prayer as well. And pray that God will give you a partner, someone that you can build up, edify, and be in agreement with. God is faithful and He will deliver. Anyway, those are just some things that I was thinking about tonight, and I was hoping that I could bless someone with this that might need it right now. So I hope all of you are blessed, and I pray for you that also, and have a blessed evening. Sweet dreams. Thank you.